gonna call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and is live streaming on AMSA Facebook page, as soon as letting us know. Can we announce who's in attendance? Sarah, can you help me with that?
Sure. Let's make sure that everyone's here that I'm saying. Let's see, so Zachary Prescott, Raul Porras, Don Capello, Roger Jarrett, Nick Poirier, Jill Schaefer. Let me see who's behind here.
And
Zach.
And Laura, she did say Zach. We lost Sarah, but Laura Burgess, I guess I didn't hear Laura be mentioned. Okay, so do we have any volunteers for timekeeper? And Zachary's volunteering. Thank you for that.
No problem.
So Bella's not in attendance. She's the one that receives the request for public comment. As of earlier today, maybe a few minutes ago, she said she had not received any request. But just to check, is there anybody that would like to come forward with a public comment? I don't see anybody other than the board members here in the meeting. So there being no public comment, we can move forward to the votes. Sarah's coming back. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes from the July 28th board meeting?
So moved. Roger.
Roger moved.
I'll second. Zach.
Zach seconds. So Sarah, that was the vote for approving the minutes. You're on mute. Sarah, you're still on mute.
Okay, want me to do the roll call?
Yes, please.
Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Abstain.
okay, Laura Burgess,
Yes.
Laura Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Abstain.
Zachary Prescott,
Yes.
Bella Gorman. Oh, sorry. All right, that's it. Motion.
Motion passes. So the next topic, which requires a vote, I'm going to give a quick introduction and hand it over to Maura. As you remember, when we discussed the capital campaign back in June, we talked about the idea that we kind of need to build more of a development capacity within AMSA. So since then, the capital campaign committee has met, the finance committee has met, and there is a recommendation to actually make an investment that would be outside of our current budget to support building out that development function, creating a development director role. So that's what we're putting up for a vote. So I'll let Maura explain the details, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Thank you, Raul. And I'll probably tag team with Dawn a little bit on this one. But one thing that's really common across the board in schools, as well as other nonprofits, is when there is fundraising that needs to be done, when we need to bring in revenue that's outside of sort of our typical streams in education, there's a development office, usually made up of multiple people. We're not looking for multiple people right now. We're looking to get started with this. And really what a director of development does for us here and sort of the structure as we know it is it really enables Ellen to fully engage in her role and not have to worry about all of the other pieces that she's picking up, the other fundraising aspects. In order for her to focus on that, we need the right support, right? And right now we have staff members who are taking bits and pieces here and adding it onto their roles to try and get things done. And it's just not sustainable, right? And it's not fully functional. And so we need someone to be able to build the relationship, someone who has development and fundraising experience to build those relationships, to really do the strategic preparation so that Ellen can go out and have these meetings and make these asks and give the presentations that we need. And this isn't something that can just get sort of thrown on other people's plates. It really takes a specific skill set and lots of experience, lots of relationships that can be brought to the table And it's also really important for our long-term growth, right? We are property owners. We are no longer renting a space. There are going to be many expenses over the course of time to maintain these buildings, to grow our programming. And we really need to establish a solid, sustainable development practice, period. And so it's time for us to really bring this position into the fold at AMSA, and it will help us kind of sustain long-term fundraising, put giving programs into place, really create the culture of philanthropy in our school, so that our school is here for a really long time. And this is sort of the first step in what that's going to take. And then, of course, this person would work not just on the capital campaign, because that's temporary, but really with the development committee, because long-term, that is how we're going to sustain this stream of revenue, the fundraising stream of revenue for the school. So, Dawn, I don't know if I've left anything out or if anybody has any questions.
Maura, that's a great summary. I appreciate everything that you said there. I'll just chime in terms of the finance committee, which I'm on. We talked about this in depth at our meeting a couple nights ago, and we unanimously agreed to recommend to the Board of Trustees to allow Ellen to hire a director of development. It's also called director of advancement, so people might be familiar with different terms there. But we did some research. We looked at sort of ballpark ranges for salary, which we decided not to get into tonight, but we did get into in finance, just in terms of if the board goes forward, giving Ellen all the negotiating advantage. So we looked at the budget. We do have some surplus from last year, and this does seem like a good time to invest in a position that, you know, the first year we wouldn't have, you know, the highest hopes on return on investment, but certainly second year. And hiring the right person, we'd expect them to come up with a development plan, a budget, and if there's ever a thought of expanding the department, you know, the person we hire would be able to tell us how we can afford that, how the development office can afford that. So I look at this as a natural position to add in terms of our growth as an organization. You know, we've certainly tried having a very part-time consultant in Betsy, who's been helpful. But Ellen has a full-time job. Sarah Snow has a full-time job. Mark has a full-time job. There's just no way to put this on those folks. So as you can see, I'm in favor of it, and so is the finance committee.
I'll also add, Don, that one of our new capital campaign and development committee members has shared with us he's very much in tune with the development world and is very active in other boards as well as professionally. That this person within, and Alan, I want to say within 2 to 3 years, will potentially double and triple their costs, right? So it truly is an investment, and it is the most effective and efficient way to kind of jumpstart this process.
And if I may just jump into, actually, Mara, I think you said 5 times, but
Excellent. Even better.
right. I think one of the things that we've learned, and some of it's been trial and error, but this new person that's on the committees also joined the development committee and the capital campaign committee. And then I also had a conversation with a woman, a parent had got me in touch with a woman who was the director of development advancement at Smith. And her recommendation was the same thing. This is how it's set up. And that, you know, I'm brought in at the end for the ask and to help develop the relationships as well. But we really need somebody 40 hours a week that's making those phone calls and that's reaching out in order to be successful at the level we want to be.
Great. And I gotta say, it's been exciting to see the progress that we've made in the last couple months, and obviously in the last year, but particularly in the last couple of months in bringing this forward, because it has become evident, like Ellen said, a little bit of trial and error, but when we see the best practices, when we see other schools that have been successful at raising the amount of money that we're looking to raise for AMSA, we need to have that capability in-house, and this is a worthwhile investment. So it's the kind of thing that you get your money back. You have to spend money to make money, and we're in a good place to be able to do that this year. And again, like Maura said, there's a ramp-up period, but once this person ramps up and starts bringing in money, they'll pay for themselves. So that's the idea. And like Dawn said, finance discussed it. They're comfortable with it. I know Val's not here today, but she was part of those discussions in the capital campaign committee. And Roger, as a treasurer, was also in finance. Can add any comments to that. So sounds like a great idea overall. So any questions from anybody or comments? Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
So does the board have a say, or is this person solely hired by Ellen?
So what we're voting on, because it's an out of budget item, we're voting on the additional cost.
Right, but in the future, when the person is actually hired, is the board hiring or is the school hiring?
No, it's an operational
Got it.
position. So the board only hires the executive director.
Yep, got it.
I think what Jill might be thinking about, and Sarah can jump in here, but at one point in the bylaws, there was an executive director and a director of development. Roger's probably most familiar with this. We changed the bylaws to remove that person, and I believe at that time that both of those people reported to the board. Is that true, Roger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was the previous bylaws.
So that's no longer the case.
Correct.
This person would work for the ED, or even we could talk about, we haven't talked about it yet, and see where that usually lines up, but even Leanna under the business management side of things. That's where Mark is right now.
It was also the executive
York.
director.
Hmm?
It was also called the executive director of development. This is not.
Right. So different. We can talk about how that would be in the org.
Do you see a benefit of it being that way, Jill? Is that what you asked? Or?
No, I just wanted to clarify because it wasn't clear in my mind, and I just asked the question so that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
Yeah, and I think at least for me, the distinction is that this is somebody working as a staff member of the school dedicated to development. As we all have a development role in the board, and we are part of that, and we help with that as volunteers. But the difference is somebody that would be paid to do this as their day job.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Any other comments or discussion?
One quick comment. I fully support this. I think this is like other people have said, this is the next step forward for AMSA, and our development needs will continue going forward. This doesn't end in a couple of years. We'll have, I think if it was Maura or somebody else that said we're going to have development needs for many, many years going forward for the rest of the lifetime of the school, and it's just an investment in the school.
And I just want to add, I agree. I'm glad you spoke to someone at Smith. I mean, I work at a college, and this is an entire huge department, and it's absolutely a professional skill set people need to work on. Sorry, I have a doorbell and a dog now. And I am fully supportive of adding this position, especially with the growth it's going to see.
All right, I think the dog's created a chain reaction here.
I think my dog's supportive of it too.
Good. All right.
And Laura, almost every meeting has an animal encounter, so you fit right in already.
Well, someone rang the doorbell, so that just got her going.
Mine are still confused. They're looking for where that barking was coming from.
Yeah. As soon as your dog started barking, my frog started croaking. So we're all good.
All right. Any other comments, human or otherwise? If not, we may be ready for a vote. So again, the vote is to accept the recommendation from the Capital Campaign Committee to authorize the creation of a development director role. And just to be clear, at least from my understanding, we're calling it a role. It's up to Ellen, and depending how this plays out, it could be more than one person. We're just authorizing for the change in the budget, correct? Right. So hopefully you caught that, Sarah, for the motion.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion if anyone wants to move that, unless there's further discussion required.
Laura,
Moved.
Maura moves.
And to be clear, that enables Ellen to move forward with the position once it's created, correct?
I'll second that.
oh, okay. So, Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Yes.
Laura Burgess,
Yes.
her dog. Okay. Laura Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier. Nick,
Yes, sorry, I'm having issues with my computer. Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Yes.
Salmini Sempeth. Salmini, she was here.
Yes. We can't hear you. It looks like you're saying yes. Thumbs up. That
Is she
counts.
there? Oh, I see her. Okay, good. And Zachary Prescott.
Yes.
That is it.
And
Motion.
the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. This is, I would think, a great step forward and a milestone for AMSA as we continue to build our capacity to support the growth that we deserve beyond our current capabilities. I'm excited. Excellent. I think that it's pretty much all the votes we had for today, which doesn't mean our agenda is is light at all. As far as consent agenda, we do have one item. It's not a non-voting item, so we don't need to discuss unless anybody has any questions. The Finance Committee has attached the June financial statements to the consent agenda. Does anybody want to discuss that at all? Or can we just accept it as consent, part of the consent agenda? We're good? All right. Then we move forward to the report. So if you remember recent discussions, we decided it was worth it to have a specific capital campaign update on each board meeting. So not just making it part of the development committee, but also have a capital campaign update as part of the agenda. So I am very excited and happy to turn it over to Mara to hear about it. And probably the biggest update is what we just did. So but go ahead.
That is probably the biggest update. I know that Ellen is also going to cover this in her slides. But I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. One, we have added a number of new members to the committee. And okay, Ellen, I see that you have 5. I had 3 written down, so we're going to tag team this part.
2 new ones this week.
Oh, awesome. Yay. That is great news. So I know we've added Mary Jo Naraki, which the name sounds familiar and should, but Mary Jo is a phenomenal addition to this committee. Also falling under that phenomenal addition category is Darren Rose, who is a parent, past and present, and Eric Asman, who is a parent, past and present. So we are also looking forward to an event. We're putting together the final details, and it looks like it's going to be early October, but a kickoff event for parents and probably some key members in our communities. And so just stay tuned for more information on that. We're kind of putting the pieces together rather quickly so we can get the date held on people's calendars. And I think the rest I will say for Ellen either now or during your ED report.
I was going to say, did you mention Darren Rose?
Yes.
Okay. And Tammy Kim and Aaron Torres.
Awesome.
Both.
Aaron or Aaron? Is that Aaron or Aaron?
Aaron with an E, E-R-I-N. And they'll both be joining us. All 5 will be joining us at our next meeting.
Excellent. Any comments or questions for Mara? If not, Ellen, you get the floor for your always exciting executive director report.
Well, it's been a little busy, Raul, lately. I don't know how exciting it's going to be. For those of you who are, well, I guess it'd just be Zach, who was at our meeting yesterday. Some of this is going to look familiar. It's been a really exciting time this week. 1 second. Okay, here we are. It's actually kind of amazing, but now I can go back. I have every board report that I've ever done since March of, I think it was February of 2019. And I can go back and see the history, and it's really kind of an amazing thing to see. A lot of fun. All righty, so here's what we're going to look at tonight. We've had our welcome back to our teachers and staff this week. It's been really wonderful to see everyone. I have some August thank yous from the summer and a little bit of razzle dazzle time. And then we're going to talk about the focus that we're taking, my work, especially in Anders' work, which it dovetails obviously with what Mike and Amanda are doing as well, as they're doing more of the operations work, the day-to-day, and our work is just a little bit different. And then also we're going to talk about the upcoming events. So today, today's Thursday. Yesterday, our veterans came back and they had professional development Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Monday, all of our new staff came back. We had a couple folks retire last year. We lost a couple math teachers over the summer. And we welcomed 3 new folks that I'm going to wait to mention until we get to that slide. But it's been really great to see everyone, and people seem, everyone is saying the same thing. It's great to be back, but boy, did that go fast, right? But we're excited to have the kids, and we had some of the kids on campus today, which was fun. The student government and the seniors have been painting the rocks that are outside. Kind of spirit for the class. The class of 2023 is purple, and our PTO has been great helping the kids do that today over the last couple of days, and it looks super. All right, so our August thank yous. I did want to call out a special thank you to facilities. They do so much work over the summer, getting those classrooms prepared, getting the floors all buffed up, the walls painted, and it looks great. I'm going to say that those buildings look as great as they can look without some more work. But boy, Eric and Sean, and they hire a crew of kids for the summer, and they really did a great job. But on top of that, they were also involved with putting in our new phone system, which is so high tech that I'm going to need special training, likely one-on-one. And we're all trying to learn the new phone system. And then we also, and Eric was very involved with this, and the IT department as well, because they were involved with all of this technology as it all comes together to support the school. But our security system was old. It's so grainy you could barely see anything. And with the kids, honestly, all in the same shirt, it was very difficult to tell who was who on the cameras. And of course, with all the tragedy that we've seen across the country, it's really important that we're able to see all areas of the school and to be sure that it's all secured. So we invested in a brand new security system. It's amazing. The deans have this now, for good, for better, for worse, on their phones 24/7, along with Eric. So they can see everything that's going on in those buildings. It's all heat activated and motion censored. It's crystal clear. And so we're very happy. It's the first time we really can see beautiful views all around the buildings, in all of the staircases, and these are in areas of the school that were just, blank spaces for us. We couldn't see them. So we're really excited about this. I know it was a lot of work for the whole summer team. And also, if you go on campus, you'll notice that Eric and Sean have been growing grass. So you may remember that when the landlord was doing or not really doing a lot of the landscaping, and then we said, don't worry about it, we're going to own the buildings. Eric has spent a lot of time growing grass. And so I think that when you come, you'll say, oh yes, finally they have some grass, because it's been dirt for so long. Also, always want to thank Mike and Amanda for their continued work. She and Mike, it's funny, they work together somewhat like Anders and I. They get along really well, except they are super efficient and and very driven for results, and they're constantly looking at all of our processes and they're updating them. And Amanda's very tech savvy, and she's just putting out so many communications and keeping everything together. And where Anders and I are more, we're thinking in whole different ways. And so it's actually the 4 of us are working out really well. And just want to continue to thank them. It is absolutely amazing what these two are able to do together and get accomplished for the school. And it's really, I feel, and I mentioned this to the staff when they came back on yesterday, that we are more organized and ready for this school year than we ever have been, in my memory, for sure. And a lot of that is the work that Mike and Amanda have done this summer and all of last year as well. And, you know, I would not barely get through a day without Leanna. And so I just want to, you know, just a shout out to Leanna one more time, just for absolutely everything that she does and how efficiently she does it, and just, you know, her quiet service. She's an amazing strength for me and for, you know, the whole administration, and honestly for everyone in the school, because there isn't anyone that doesn't interact with Leanna almost on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So Leanna, don't know what I'd do without you, so you just keep hanging in there. All right, a little bit of razzle dazzle time. All right, so we had a wonderful, actually, this is the second summer that we've been involved in a collaboration, a STEM collaboration with UMass Lowell. And I happened to get some pictures of it this week. This actually, we were connected through this, our new Dean of Students, well, he's not new Dean of Students anymore, he's been with us 4 years, Anthony Montesian. His fiance is a professor up at UMass Lowell, and we immediately got connected with Adam, and were able to write some grants to bring groups of kids up to UMass Lowell. And so the kids work, that Jeremy Morris, our engineering teacher, is also involved in this. It's the kids are at our school at AMSA for a week, and the professors come down and work with them, and then they go and they spend 1 week up in the labs at UMass Lowell. So you can see over in the lower corner there's a picture of them up at UMass. And then they had a poster display this summer as well, and you can see their families there admiring all of their work. So thought you might like to see that. I absolutely love this collaboration. The college does as well. It you know, it's an opportunity for our kids to get into college level labs, to be working with you know, Dr. St. Jean, and to really get a chance to work together of all grades 9 through 12. So I'm thrilled, and we will be writing a grant to continue this work as well next year. And this was the 3 extra folks that I was telling you about that were new, and we're so excited to have them. Before COVID, Padmaja Bandaru is, she's a pretty amazing person, and she's well known on the state level and has helped the state to create the licensure requirements for computer science teachers, which didn't exist all the way along. It does now, with the help of the work that Padmaja and others have done on the state level. Lesley University then wanted to have a program to help develop these teachers. They're very, very hard to find. And they reached out to Padmaja and wanted to place some of their graduate interns with us, folks that will be going into education and will become computer science teachers. So we have, so this all happened before COVID, everything then shut down, and then we picked it up, Padmaja picked it up again this year, and they have placed 3 students with us. 2 of them are computer science students, 2 of them are, one of them is a math student. And these students actually pay tuition to come to AMSA. Padmaja will be teaching them coursework. And Madhavi Marate, who's one of our math teachers, will also be involved in that. But we also have to help them with all their licensure work. We have to do observations and training and mentoring. And so we're very excited to kick off this program. And with any hope, we will continue, because this is a wonderful pipeline of educators, especially at a time when it's so difficult to find folks. But these 3 young people have been with us all week now. They came to all the PD, and they've been just so fun to have. All right, and these are some of the focus that we have for the year. Of course, you know, it's always about our mission and our core values, and it really is about all of that. And you know, when we talk about new policies and we discuss where the school is heading and what kind of work we need to do, we always think back to what's our school's mission? What's our purpose? Why are we here? And what core values support us in our work every day? And then we even look back at the charter. Is this in the charter? Is this something our charter supports or doesn't support? So those are foundational documents that we use regularly. And so always want to start with, continue to focus on our mission and our core values that have become such an important part of our school culture. So the 6 areas of focus that Anders and I are really zoning in on this year is continuing to build that culture of trust and respect. It really is one of the most important areas of growth, I think, that we've had over the last 6 or 7 years. And obviously the construction project, that's going to be a big focus, and the fundraising capital campaign, our professional development. Anders has been working on that all summer long, which is going to be based on the AMSA way. So the AMSA way document that I sent out to all of you, which will soon be sent to families, but this document is broken up by our core values, and it's a deeper look at the core values and how we use that in our work and how we see it in the school and how we see it within our students. And so we're also going to tie the professional development for the year. The themes will all be around that document as well and how we can use it in our work. And then also the work that Anders is doing with Dawn and the committee on the transition and the ED search. So once again, trust and respect. We talked about it with the staff yesterday, and making sure we continue to empower our staff to get involved, that AMSA will always be a collaborative environment where all voices are heard and respected, not always agreed, but certainly heard and respected, and that we will continue to be transparent and communicate. And I think one of the greatest areas of growth in the last year that we've had, thanks to Mike and Amanda, is the communication and the level of communication that's going out and the clarity of our communication. And also to continue to build our community, especially during this time of transition, to make sure that people still feel very supported and very much at home at AMSA. So this is a quote from the AMSA Way that I shared with the staff yesterday because it just seemed to fit so much with those thoughts around trust and respect. And what it says is, for those who are maybe listening and don't see the slide at home or on Facebook, at AMSA, we know that our goals are premised on the ways we treat each other. Respect, empathy, trust, and support are essential to our success. At AMSA, we have the courage to believe in ourselves and to believe in and support each other. At AMSA, we strive to create a community of students and parents, teachers and staff, alumni and board members, where everyone feels welcome, where everyone feels AMSA is their home away from home. And we really believe that in order to achieve this kind of culture, we need to respect and trust each other. And that doesn't mean blind respect and blind trust. That means earning each other's trust and respect each and every day, and always working together to make the school a better place. The second focus, obviously, is the construction project. And, I was talking to the staff because, as you know, we've certainly had some disappointments in the changes we've had to make and the cost. So this is a slide I did share with the staff to, give them the cold hard facts of what we've gone through and what that's going to mean. So I thought I would share it with you as well. Obviously, the construction project has gone through 3 redesigns in the last 9 months, excuse me. And that is because the cost is the driving changes, the driving force behind the changes, excuse me. Because of the high cost, we had to kind of cut the project down and down and down until we could find something that was going to work for us financially and for our program. So as the size of the project changed, our expectations also had to adjust. It also, the timeline we've been talking about is, breaking ground. Originally we had talked about the summer of 2023. Now what we're hearing is that it will be completed by August of 2024 because of the time that we've lost over the last year. They hope to break ground next summer, and then they'll be building the entire year after that. The current plan, as all of you board members know, is that it is a new academic building. We will continue to do with the traffic pattern changes. We're looking at 17,000 square feet right now, with a plan to eventually connect a gym in phase 2. We will have 5 new labs, 5 new classrooms for a total of 10 additional classrooms, which is what we would have gotten if we were able to build out the 3rd floor of the 165 building, which we were not able to build out due to coding, the amount of money we would have to put into it to bring the coding up to snuff where it needed to be. And it wasn't worth the amount of money that was going to have to go into that. So the following are concept drawings only. This isn't even close to final plans. In fact, they gave me these a couple weeks ago, kind of with the, and we already gave them feedback, and they're already making changes. But I wanted folks to kind of get an idea of what we were looking at. I know I've showed you drawings in the past that we were looking. There was more like, I think there was more like 13, 14 classrooms. So this is going to look different. But once again, I've actually given them feedback that I want the labs all together, and in these drawings, they put them on separate floors. So, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So you'll notice here on the far left side that the bathroom spaces, and there has to be bathrooms on this floor, on each of the floors, but these bathrooms are also big enough to handle the gym. Right, so once the gymnasium goes onto actually that side of the building, it will also support that. And they're also preparing the gym, all the plumbing in that to support the gym. So all of that is getting set up as well. The way that they have this right now is they've got some classrooms, they got some physics labs down here. As I said, this is going to be moving around. And there's also some admin space. They do see, and I do understand, I can kind of show you on a different slide, that it's very likely that this building would be the main entrance of the school. It's going to be the first place as you drive in off to your left when you're coming in through the 165 side. That's actually going to, it's going to be the first place that you're going to see. And it's probably the place where the signage needs to go. There'll be parking there, and then we can, have a couple admin folks over here in this building as well. Just once again, ideas. We're still brainstorming. And that was level 1. Oh, gee whiz. I'm sorry. I copied and pasted the same one. Basically, the second floor, it's basically the same, more labs. All right, so this here, this is the best slide that I could get, just as so you could see exactly where they want to put things. What you're seeing for those red lines there is that's one of the proposals of how the emergency exits would work, not how the traffic would flow. This is like if you were going to put the width of those is supposed to be like a fire engine. So if a fire engine had to come on campus, they're looking for emergency access and where they would be able to go. This isn't the final one either. They proposed several to us, but really it's going to come down to the city of Marlborough and what they feel they need and where they want to get in. So this was just one of the proposals. I grabbed this photo just because I wanted you to be able to see where the proposed academic building is going to be, where that future gym is. Now, the future gym obviously isn't going to be there now. So we're going to put in, they told me this week, they should be able to fit in about 30 new parking spaces there temporarily. We don't want to leave it just empty, and we're going to need some more, obviously we need more parking. So in the beginning, that will be extra parking, and then there'll be the proposed academic building. And you can see that on the far right side, by the 165 building, if you were a parent and you were coming in through that entrance there, and you took the very first quick left, so now you're driving in front of 165, and if there's parking there, you can see where it would be pretty natural and a quick jump for a parent to come in there, park right to the to the right side of the academic building, park in there, run in, drop off a lunch, and then get back in the car and head out and around. So that's what they're thinking. That's why they feel that they're proposing that would be the most natural entry, instead of having folks having to come all the way up, all the way around, and all the way and coming into the 201 and the 199 entrance. But once again, that's a decision to be made. That's just a conversation that we're having. Also, the new traffic pattern really isn't shown in this picture either. This was just being used to talk about the emergency access. They will be going to the city of Marlborough within the next few weeks to talk about this and have a meeting with the emergency folks. Okay, and the third focus for me especially is the capital campaign, which we know is our fundraising. And just as a reminder, and for anyone who might be listening on Facebook, just to let everyone know that our goal continues to be $2 million. It will take just 2+ years to raise that money. This money will be coming from corporate sponsors, from local businesses, private donors, community donations. That includes our families, and also a multitude of grants. We just had a centrifuge, a refrigerated centrifuge that Mark had donated from one of the companies, and the name might come to me. I'm sorry, I should have that down. But it was a $30,000 piece of equipment. And so we're very, very excited about that too. So things are coming in.
I think that was
As Maura mentioned, we have 5 new capital campaign committee members. This team had definitely kind of stalled, but has really picked up pace again, as Raul mentioned. I also added in the capital campaign has its own web page, so you can click on that if you'd like and take a look through there. We did receive some feedback on how the capital campaign is set up on the website, and I've met with Mike Finkel, and he's doing some work on that. You may notice as you come on campus that we do have our very first banner up. It's up right as you drive into the main entrance. Has a QR code on it, and if you click on the QR code, you're going to come to the capital campaign website page, where you can also click a button that says donate now. And so we're hoping that folks are going to look at the project. We're going to keep that updated all the time. We're going to change out the banners regularly, once a month or so that they remain interesting to folks and catch people's eye as they come into the school. And we also have an upcoming event that the development committee and the capital campaign committee are working on. We also have, that will be early October. We also have the business, back to school nights, that we will also have a table set up. Thank you to all of you who have volunteered to come and help. The 20th, if anybody has any availability on the 20th, that would be super. And we also have the BRIC program, and that is also going to be, Mike Finkel's working on putting that together on the website as well. And folks will be able to go on, click on that, and then choose whether they want a regular 4x8 brick or whether they want an 8x8 brick, and it can all be engraved. We can put little pictures on there of an eagle or a diploma, or however folks would like to, memorialize that they're, well, it could be a memorial or just dedicated to the children or to other programs that they have enjoyed at the school. So my ask will continue to be, do you know someone who would be interested in investing in our school? Our school is a unique and dynamic place, and it will, I think that there's people out there that would love our mission and love the STEM program that we present to our kids, and honestly our humanities as well. So if you know anyone, please let us know. And upcoming events. So as I mentioned, we had new employee orientation this week. Faculty and staff is back. And we have 6th and 9th grade and new student orientation actually on August 29th. The 30th is the first day of school. It's hard to believe. 2 back to school nights. We have the 6th, 7th, and 8th on the 14th. We have 9th through 12th on the 20th. And we will be having that capital campaign event in early October. and we're very, very excited about that. And we are ready for 2022, 2023. Does anyone have any questions?
So I'm sorry, just to make sure I get this right. Was there a capital campaign event in September?
We were looking at September 29th, Raul, but I think with all the parent nights and all the other events and things, we thought that it would be wise to just see if we can get a date in the first week of October. So the 29th, which I mentioned to you last month, just kind of put that in pencil, and we're gonna switch it out. It will be a little bit later.
Yeah.
And Ellen, the donor of that centrifuge
Mhm.
is Beckman Coulter, I believe.
Beckman Coulter, thank you very much. We'll get a picture of that in action, and we'll put up their logo and all of that. We're very excited about that. I also went to we had 3 of our actually recently graduated seniors that did an internship at Boston Scientific, and they also had a poster event that I went to, and we had a number of kids over at Quest Diagnostics as well. So great work that Mark's doing, getting the kids out and into really great work, great internships.
We forgot, I'm sorry to interrupt, if we forgot about Thermo Fisher too, Michael Glass has helped us accept that. For 5 years, we have been doing that. There were 5 interns in total, and then they're bringing back AMSA alumni who worked with them, and then they are actually taking them as college interns too. So I have seen 3 years in a row, our interns that are there at Thermo Fisher on August 12th when they did the final presentation.
Thank you.
That is another thing that I have to give it to Mike Finkel, so it will come in soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Padmaja. And I know we've discussed this in the capital campaign discussions, but if there's an adage in fundraising that first you get somebody interested, then you get them involved, and then they get invested. So companies that start getting interested in what we do and then start getting involved by taking our students and doing research with us, and then they'll give us money. So
that's right.
So
well,
all these things, any of those steps are great for the school. So let's keep looking for those opportunities.
That's absolutely right. I mean, if anyone had told me now almost 8 years ago, when I started at AMSA, that I would have fallen in love with this community the way that I have, I never would have believed it. But these kids are absolutely amazing. They're worth every second of our effort, and I just love our adults as well. So it's a great place to become part of our community.
Yes. So it's absolutely our time to get back to that passion. So it is contagious. So thank you for that, Ellen.
Yes.
Any comments or questions for Ellen on that report? It's been a busy summer, obviously. All right. If there's no questions from anybody, thank you, Ellen, again. And then we're going to hear from the teachers. Zach, what's our
Hello.
Welcome back to school.
Yes, thank you. That's really all that's going on at the moment. People are coming back. We're all, getting everything set up. The year's getting ready. Kids come back next week, and have no additional updates beyond that.
All right. Thank you. If that's the case, we can move on to parents. And Laura, I believe this is your inaugural parent rep report, so looking forward to it.
Mine's a little longer than Zach's. So I'll just start off with a quick update from the PTO in terms of good news. They are launching a new host family mentor program this year for new families to AMSA. So that's just a really exciting opportunity and a great way to bring on largely 6th grade families, but all new families who always have questions just navigating any new school and any new school system. So it's a great effort by the PTO. So parent concerns, issues, we'll start off with the one I have heard the most about, and this would be uniforms. So I have heard from many parents with various concerns about the uniforms, largely with the vendor of Land's End, concerns about them not being reliable and able to meet the necessary deadlines and the high demand of AMSA. They do have higher costs. the challenge replacing things during the year if it's needed. So those are largely the main reasons, but other parents also, be great if we could support a local business or vendor with the, business. And so many parents have been asking for AMSA to seek alternatives for the uniforms, especially the shirts. Everyone, gets the pants from various places. The question also, is a logo requirement necessary? Because there's obviously that additional cost. And then going along with all of this is concern about the overall financial support provided for families in need for the uniforms. And all of this I've gotten just in the past few days too, so I haven't had a chance to fact check or do a couple things, but I heard the financial support is $150 for families in financial aid for Land's End, but often families really need to spend like $225, $250 to get enough shirts alone for the year. I saw Ellen just put in the comments the 3-year contract, and that was my final comment was going to be, and then parents are, okay, if we have to stick with Land's End, I think they want more of a why. So is that 3-year contract basically this coming year is year 1 of the contract, Ellen?
Leanna or Mike probably could give you a better answer on that, to be honest. I just know that that's what we've got. If they're there. Mike, I actually just sent him a text and said, jump in here if you want, because I'm not really that close to the uniform anymore. We do have a 3-year contract, and I'm not sure.
I'm here. I'm not sure where we're at in the midst of that contract. I just heard the 3 years recently from, I think I was talking to Leanna about it.
She's
So I
our
don't know if she's
contract
there.
person, so she may have stepped away, or maybe she's eating. But yeah, it's a 3-year contract that we've signed with them.
Is
Okay.
it an contract?
Who is that?
Sorry, Dawn. Is it an exclusive contract?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it is. One of the reasons that the blue shirt comes from one vendor is so that, because the navy blue can be 100 shades, and so we want the consistency of looking out. It's been a thing of mine, to be honest, to look out and see the color. Everything is basically the same. It's white. We have some light blue ones as well that are still hanging around. And the logo can be the old logo, can be any logo that's ever existed through the years that we've had this. But the logo's always been a part of the uniform ever since, I think, the beginning of the school. Yeah, Roger's saying yeah. Jill?
We also sent a oh, sorry, Joe.
You're on mute, Jill.
Yep. Mute, Jill.
Sorry about that. I've had to buy exclusively for the past 2 years from Land's End. So you guys could be in your 3rd year, which is good news. And
yeah,
then,
we've been using Land's End though, Jill, since Dr. McCleary and Aaron started with
right,
Land's
but
End.
exclusively. We used to have other options.
Not shirts, pants, but not
Right.
the
Okay.
church.
Well, I'm just saying I've noticed that it was only
No,
a limited option.
before they used to be available in Sears, and there was a store in Marlboro. There are one in Worcester and one in Marlboro.
Not since Dr. McCleary changed the uniform.
No, I know, but like before that, the
15,
shirts
16.
and different options, they were there. So.
Okay. Well, then
Tommy didn't have all the pieces, Dawn.
And then the other thing is that you can tell parents about the used uniform sales. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
They are aware of that. It's not quite sufficient to cover the full needs of a lot of families. It does, it's not like you can pop in any day you realize you need uniforms. Depending on the timing, not all families can make it and everything. And again, sometimes, families find out are attending or need to order items at different times. So it sounds like what is really the remainder of the contract, I would guess. And then, I guess with all that feedback, the question would be, whenever the contract is starting to expire, will there be, will AMSA be open to looking into other vendors? Will they be looking into other options as opposed to like automatically renewing the Lands End contract without, looking into alternatives?
Yeah, so a couple things. Mike, I know Mike Naraki was there. He was just about to jump in. But one of the other things that's always been part of our uniform is that students can wear plain white button-down shirts or plain navy blue, and they don't have to have a logo on them or anything else. And that also helps kids who are coming in new, and if there's a back order or anything like that. So that's always been part of the uniform, it's, they can be found fairly reasonably. I know Mike Finkel and the parents also post any kind of sale or coupons that come up all the time as well. But as far as, yeah, sure, we can talk about it. I don't think anybody is against it. I just, there used to be almost exclusive conversations about uniform. And it goes back a long, long time. And it's kind of calmed down. There was a day that shoelaces were mandated for certain colors, eyelets on shoes, the soles of shoes, socks. All of those things used to be part of the uniform, believe it or not. And so we have backed off of all of that completely, and tried to make it as simple for parents as we can. But yeah, I don't mind talking about it. I'm really not involved with the uniforms. Mike and the deans are, they're kind of the uniform folks. My only thing is I just would like it to be uniform across. So when you look out in the classroom, everyone's got the same color on. And there aren't 50 shades of navy blue. But other than that, that's only been my only requirement. They can wear any kind of pants they want, navy or khaki as well.
I do recall, Ellen, receiving an email recently to your comment about the button-down shirts with some recommendations or alternatives saying, hey, it's not that you have to go here, but these are, competitive, price competitive options to comply without having to go to Land's End. So, I think that helps.
Yeah, I was going to say, we did send out a community-wide message about that. And also, Laura, just so you know, I'm more than happy once the contract is up. We'll try and figure that out when the contract is ending, but I'm more than happy to discuss other options.
Yeah, and I'm still new to this role, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to communicate all the feedback I hear. But I would definitely say it's not, other than like, why is the logo necessary, which a few people asked, it's not necessarily questioning the need for the uniform. It's just more, I've been hearing the unhappiness with the vendor and kind of some issues happening with them. And I hear it, if you've placed an order and paid money for your uniforms and they're not going to come in time, and now you got to go buy some plain shirts until those come in and everything. And some people it's taking much longer than expected. But Mike, I'd be happy to kind of put together just like a quick summary of some of the concerns I've had and share that with you if you're the one who kind of oversees that.
Yeah, I mean, the day-to-day is pretty much our dean of students, but you can send anything you want to me. You can just email me and I'll share it with the team. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to have more conversations about this and take a closer look, like I said, at the existing deal that we have with Land's End. Because I mean, trust me, especially when I was the dean of students, I mean, we deal with back orders with Land's End every year. We are assured quite often that it won't happen, but it continues to happen every single summer. So
yeah, and especially if you order on the later side, I just don't know with the volume that we have who might be better, but happy to look at it.
Great.
Second topic, I told you that a little bit. I've heard some questions and concerns again about the lunches and the fact that for a second year in a row, the lunches are going to be free in the state, no cost breakfast and lunch. But again, AMSA won't qualify because they don't have the kitchen. And I think there definitely is some frustration, that, the catered lunch option is expensive and limited. And then it doesn't seem like there are plans to remedy or solve the kitchen issue, and development of the other buildings, or the construction. So again, just concerns. And I think, again, frustration because the state is providing, the free breakfast and lunch, and it doesn't extend to AMSA. Other concerns, I have heard, and again, I wish I'd had more time to kind of reach out to a few of the key people to address it, and I will. I think this one would be more to Leanna. Just financial assistance timing, kind of when families hear about their financial assistance isn't always in line with when they have to do other things. Specifically, kind of applying to take the bus, and if the families feel like that's kind of locking them into committing to the bus, but they may not know if they qualify for the financial assistance and will get the bus covered beforehand. There were concerns about camera coverage, but Ellen, I think you covered that in your executive update. Basically, concerns, are they working? Are they upgraded? Are they installed in places they need to be? But it sounds like that was a big summer project, so that's great to hear that concerns covered. And then I haven't had a chance to dig into this too much yet, but I did hear some concerns from a parent who'd also been involved in the school system a little bit about teacher burnout that she felt she kind of was seeing with some of her colleagues, and things like that. And I think it's something a lot of schools are definitely experiencing, and just concerns, what is AMSA doing to kind of help teachers dealing with burnout after the past few years, and just kind of looking to see that AMSA was addressing it with its teachers. And that is my parent report, I guess, in summary from everything I've gathered so far. How was it? Good?
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
That's
It's
really
good
good. That's
it's
really
good
good
to keep track with the specific. Sorry, go ahead, Don.
Oh, no, I was just a quick one. I was just going to say that's all really good feedback. I mean, that's, you can be the voice of what you're hearing and come to the board. Some things we can talk about right away. Some things have to be next stepped, and hopefully we can do that. And sometimes it's just, hey, everyone should be aware that this is being discussed. So I really appreciate you bringing that voice.
I agree. So that means they did a great job. So thanks, Laura. Excellent. Any comments or any further discussion on those topics? And Leanna, you came on camera. I don't know if that meant you wanted to say something.
Oh, I was preparing to answer the question about the financial assistance, but then we went to the next topic. So I don't know if you want me to answer that now or.
Yeah, if it's
go for it. Sorry, I'm so used to people using the raise hand function in Zoom.
So the financial assistance, we do that once we collect all of the free and reduced lunch forms. It is a process. And the forms don't typically come out until mid to late July. So that's part of why you see the lag between when families apply. Now, the packets did just get mailed out yesterday to all those families, and that includes the gift card and the policy and the book order forms and something from O'Connor's studio for a picture package. So hopefully they'll get them soon.
Thank you.
And just one question, Leanna, is that you said the free reduced lunch forms don't typically come out until late July. Is that something coming from the state or the federal government?
Yes, we use the federal government forms to process those applications.
Okay, so that's when they're coming out in July. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Leanna, for the clarification. Any other comments for Laura or the concerns raised? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to our next topic on the staff and family survey results from the spring. So my first comment, if anybody's wondering, why are we talking about the spring survey in late August, right, when the school's about to start? And my answer to that is that we are talking about the details of the comments. We already reviewed the results from the survey, but rest assured that we have been talking about this since the survey went out, but also that the administration has taken action on your comments since the survey went out. So the fact that we're talking about it in the board meeting doesn't mean that this is the first time these things are being addressed. It's just that from a survey task force, it between the summer and we couldn't meet a couple times because of people not being available. Then it brought us all down to this time. Am I sharing my screen? Can everybody see?
Yes.
Right. So we put together a short presentation, try to summarize the comments. I don't recall the exact numbers. I may have them here, but we read more among all of us. So we kind of divided and conquer over 600 comments, I believe. So more than 500 on the family side, and a handful, about 100 from the staff survey. So that's another reason why it takes this long, because we actually do read them all. So thank you for your feedback. I say this every year, but feedback is a present. You receive it, you thank it, and you appreciate it as a present. So for everybody that participated and that shared their comments, thank you for that. Just to kind of jump into it, again, we try to summarize so many comments into something. We try to look for trends and things that are worth highlighting. So we picked a few, just not to have to talk about the 500 comments that we saw. So I'm going to start with the staff survey. We picked 4 key trends. One is that there was a lot of comments about the behavior trend that staff was saying and teachers were saying that there were issues with the kids coming back to school after being online, after the last couple of years of COVID, and having a lot of behavior issues. One of the comments I heard after that was that after the time of the survey in the spring, the teachers have been saying that issue's tapering off. There was and I'm sure that Mike can explain a little bit more about what this means, but there was a bit of a restart in the middle of the year and some professional development on structure that helped with that behavior. But there's definitely something to keep an eye on. Just to explain what the last column is. Was that a comment, Sarah? Or nope.
No.
All right. So the last column about the board goal is just to make sure that everybody knows that we use these comments to influence what the kinds of things we focus on the board. So you're going to see a lot of that number 2 goal that we set for ourselves on protecting our culture and maintaining our culture of trust and respect. So this is very important. I think Ellen quoted it from the AMSA way, that we need to earn our respect, and that's going to be critical for the success of our culture. So definitely very important to us. But again, we saw an improvement on that. Maybe related to the uniform conversation we just had, there's some comments on both sides. So you'll see that both from the teachers and from the families about how consistent we are in enforcing policy. That's, I gotta say, from my experience, been an ongoing conversation topic at AMSA. The deans have taken an active role in enforcing that. So, all teachers are empowered and encouraged to be the enforcement role for all of our policies. But my understanding, there's been more of a discussion about how the deans get involved and participate and intervene when necessary. But we do encourage all staff to engage consistently in enforcing, so nobody feels like that's lacking consistency. And again, this happens on both sides, from both sides of the coin. There were some comments about continuing education, and to me this was a little bit surprising, because my understanding is that we have a budget for professional development and things like tuition reimbursement that doesn't get used up every year. So I guess it's an opportunity for everybody to think about taking advantage of that and look at your development opportunities, as these are resources that are available. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. Can you remind me there, Ellen or Zach, when we talked about streams, was that a specific program? I don't recall what that meant, like the individual. Yeah.
What we talked about, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. What we had talked about was there's different streams of continuing education. There's individual, and they have their budget for that. There's also within their departments, they're getting professional development. There's all staff professional development. We have some of that tomorrow. And then we also have the tuition reimbursement for professional development for classes at universities.
Thank you.
Just the different streams you were talking about.
That's what we meant by streams. Sorry, for a second I don't remember what that meant. So again, there's different ways of taking advantage of that. So thank you for the feedback. We'll continue to work on that. Last but not least is something that we have talked multiple times in many different committees and continues to be a discussion at AMSA, which is, I call it balance. Trying not to use the trigger words of, one side or the other of the equation, but that relates to how do we maintain our high stakes environment for excellence without negatively affecting the health and well-being of all our students, not only students and staff. So again, there are comments on both sides of the fence, both sides of the argument, and on both sides of both surveys from both staff and families on that. We believe that the work that has been done with the AMSA way, and the reason we spend the time working on that this year, and thank you, Ellen and Anders, for leading that conversation, helps at least put on paper the things that we agree on so we can build on that. I think I've said this in previous analysis of these surveys and the comments. We are not as far apart as we might think we are when we all are, whether you think we should be doing more or that we're doing too much, that we're both saying the same thing. We want to make sure that the AMSA education is the best education we can give our students. And nobody questions that we do want to be an excellent school, and excellence is what we strive for. So again, the AMSA way, I think, goes a long way to clarifying that. Hopefully it will be a rallying cry for everybody to come together around this topic. So it will continue to be a focus. Again, it's a board goal number one, is the academic excellence of the school. So we'll continue to work on that. On the family side, you see we picked a similar number, about 4 comments or topics that came up consistently. Not surprisingly, a lot of people were asking about facilities and limited facilities and issues with the facilities. So I don't think I need to explain much what we're doing, because we have been talking a lot about in the board meetings about the build out and the resources that we're bringing to that and the impact that has in fundraising and all that. So I think this meeting today is a good example of that and the time that we spend talking about that. So again, we get it. We understand facilities is important, and it's an important thing of what we're focusing on. Again, same issue of balance. There's current initiatives for improving social emotional learning in the classroom, and the idea of challenge success. And again, I'm going to let Ellen provide more detail on what challenge success if she wants. But the simple point is that we are continuing to make adjustments on how we can improve that balance, and not giving up on excellence is not an either or. It's making sure that we are keeping an eye on what's the best way for our kids to perform at their best.
If you want me to jump in on challenge success, we've been working with them for a few years. They are a group, it's nationwide, that works with academically challenging schools and helps us balance the social emotional aspects of children along with the academics. They believe in academics, they believe in the challenging curriculum, but they also believe that we need to make sure the proper support's in place. So as I mentioned, we've been working with them. Kate Driver connected us with them a number of years ago, and there's a number of schools within Massachusetts and across the country that use their curriculum and their professional development. They are actually coming in, I believe it's our October professional development, and they were in at least once or twice last year as well. So they really just talked to us about how do you keep your standards really high, but also pay very close attention and develop the relationships that we need to develop with students in order for them to feel safe and safe even to just express the concerns and worries and the stress that they're having academically. So they've been a great group to work with. And you can look them up, Google them.
Yeah, and I gotta say, one key thing that you made me think about is the idea of empowering students to talk to their teachers and to help coordinate that. One of the specific comments that people bring up sometimes in the survey is teachers should be coordinating the workloads that they give the students, because the student is not 100% dedicated to one class. They have multiple classes, and the different departments should kind of get together and figure out how to balance that. It's really challenging because students have choices, and not every student is in every class, all the students are in the same classes. So it's hard to coordinate across classes, but it's easier for the students to discuss with the teachers. So I know there has been work that has been done with the department chairs on that workload balancing to address that issue of coordination, for lack of a better term. But keep in mind that there's also the side of the students also self-advocating and empowering them to be part of the discussion. And then I do want to comment on a couple, there was a recurring theme about reconnecting, especially if you think about the timing of the survey, coming back after COVID, being away and separated for so long. A lot of people were saying we need more ways of coming together, especially for the new classes that maybe hadn't even met each other in person. So they're asking for more opportunities to connect socially. So I know one of the things we talked about is the club fair, to kind of get students involved outside of the classroom in the clubs and understand what opportunities they have. But so all of those things, kind of trying to build community and giving the students opportunity to connect outside of the classrooms. And last but not least, bullying came up in a few comments. Some of the comments and the discussion we had was about how we handle the cases of bullying. So from a parent perspective, it may be easy to conclude when you are, I'm going to call it the receiving end of the bullying issue, that that you're not really sure how it's being followed up on the other side. And one of the reasons for that is that there are laws that limit how much a school can share with you about what has been done. So that gives a perception that the administration or the school isn't doing enough to fix the problem or to talk to the offending student. And that's something that is hard to fix because we have to stay within the boundaries of the law. So there's only so much that the school can share when something is done. But what we can say is that we do look at specific comment. Well, first of all, whenever anybody follows the formal process for reporting a bullying concern or a situation, it gets handled following those procedures and complying with those laws. If you made a comment, there were some specific comments on the survey where parents were bringing up, I had this specific issue with this specific student or with specific parent. We as a board don't see the names. That gets edited before we see it, but the administration does. And every single comment that was brought up in the survey was dealt with and investigated as a follow-up. But I also going to say this is not the best place to make those kind of reports or explain, if you have an issue, don't wait until the spring to fill out the survey. There are proper channels for reporting that and whatnot. But again, that perception of things not being followed through might come from the fact that we can only share so much about what gets done.
Yeah, and all the bullying forms and manual is all on the website, and there's a whole section devoted on the student handbook, which is also on the website. And if all else fails there, call the dean of students, and they will help you out.
All right. So let me move on. We actually did something. Let me explain how we did this before I get into the way this looks. Instead of looking at the actual words that everybody used, it's really hard to summarize 500 plus comments. So what we try to do is look at the comment, see what topic it referred to, and then we took those topics and tabulated the one you see on the screen. So these are not the actual words used by the people that submitted the comments. So there's a little bit of interpretation on our end for this. But the question that we added at the end of the survey was, what's the most important issue at AMSA that AMSA needs to focus on? And you'll see some patterns of, top of the list is facilities, 23 comments that kind of fell in that category. 21, the second number 2 is balance that we talked about. So you see a theme here on things having to do with social emotional learning, the balance, the curriculum. Again, this is interesting to see because it's hard to summarize so many comments. What people are thinking about is the most important thing for the school. So I feel confident that we're focusing on the right things, that we continue to have conversations. We can always get better. But again, thank you for your feedback, for validating our efforts and our focus going forward. Similarly, on the staff side, we did the same thing, and it's a similar approach and a similar result. Actually, balance was the number 2 as well. So there's balance concerns on both sides. We definitely don't want to give up on excellence. It's not an either or game. So that's exactly what we're working towards, and the reason we're kind of trying to be more clear on the AMSA way, et cetera. So again, you'll see this is kind of similar to the topics that we just talked about, excellence, behavior, and balance being in the top of the list. I think it was worth sharing a couple of sample suggestions. We always like hearing not only, hey, we have a concern, but also we have ideas on how to address those. I think, again, all of these were noted and we're following up on some of the ideas, but just to pick on a couple, I think teaching organizational skills or study skills is something that rose to the top, that teachers believe that students could benefit from that. Speaking from my own experience, I say one of the best things I learned in college was how to learn. Not even the actual topics of what I learned, but how to organize myself, how to use the time better. So again, that's one of the recommendations. Events and things for social engagement, like I said, we're trying to build more on. So there's the example of the 8th grade dance, freshman welcome event. So all these are good ideas, and thank you for those that provided them. I think it's important to also highlight the negatives. And there was speaking of scheduling, which I know is a big challenge, more than one comment about the time between classes, or time for lunch, which also ties to the connection time, right? The social interaction time. So if we were able to simplify or provide more time between classes in the schedule, that would add more time for lunch and for socialization. Totally understand that scheduling has always been a big challenge. Again, a lot of comments about balance and workload and the homework and whatnot. So this is just examples. And the behavior comment came from both sides. Both teachers and parents were saying there was a behavior pattern. And again, I believe this improved after the survey came out. Hopefully it was a fluke of this year, and I hope our students come refreshed and better behaved and with better structure at the beginning of the year. But we definitely heard your concerns. On the positive side, there are positive comments, so we'd like to highlight those as well. There's a lot of comments about how everybody likes AMSA. AMSA is a great school. It's easy to forget that when you hear a lot of suggestions and concerns, because that is what we kind of focus on with the survey. But thank you for everybody that actually took their time to use the feedback survey to remind us how good of a school we are. They do talk about responsiveness, and communication is also a recurring topic. We hear about how well or how much parents are expecting their communication with teachers and the administration. There are some that actually express that they believe that their concerns were responded quickly and that they have quick responses. They talk about support, and particularly social emotional support for the students. So they were thankful for this, and we are thankful for you to sharing those positive comments with us. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know how I'm doing with time, but we could spend hours here going over the 500 comments that we read. Again, I'd like to thank everybody in the survey task force for their time, and Dawn and Ellen and Zach, and everybody that was part of that, and Lynn McCluskey that actually takes the time to run the survey for us, and the help of Panorama. So this is something that is important for the board to keep an eye on what's going on. I used to say that I wanted to do it because I was kind of external to the school, but now I can't say that anymore that I'm a parent. But definitely thank you for your feedback, and we'll continue to work on everything that was raised. That was probably more than 50 minutes. Any comments, any questions from the board or anybody else? Right. Hearing none. Jill, we missed you last month. Talk about our self-assessment, which I know we all completed recently. Are you ready to share the results from that?
Yes, and actually I looked at the minutes. I wasn't the only one absent last month. July is a tough month, I think.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have any slides. I just have some data points, a summary of the latest 2021 to 2022 self-assessment. We had only 10 of 14 participants, so we did not get 4 assessments returned. And that could be the reason for the slightly less overall results. So the board moved down. There are 5 levels in the self-assessment. Level 1 being the lowest, it needs the most improvement. Level 5 being the best. So overall, this past year, the board's level went down from level 4, which over the past 2 assessments, it had been a 4. This year, it went down overall to level 3. But it could also be that we didn't have a full participation. But in general, this year's results are very similar to last year's results, which were very similar to 2019's results. And so the recurring themes, which I will bring up, that with these areas came up as level 1s. So I was just going to highlight a few of the level 1s. And the first one is development, and I'm not even gonna go into that, because I mean the basic consensus is that the board needs, you know, a long-term strategic development plan, and obviously now that's exactly what this new role will help with, and everybody is completely focused on. So that's not a surprise. The other one was finance, and I think this is similar to last year, and it was really more just a board education. It was more that the board members filling out the self-assessment just weren't as familiar with the financial concepts and the, you know, issues going on with the school. So that might just be an area for finance committee to help improve board education. The third was board composition, and that mostly meant diversity. And I think that's just one of the things that's always been brought up when the board, you know, assesses itself. They said, you know, you really want your board to look more like your community, and there's always going to be improvement in that that area, which also was in last year's assessment and in the 2019 assessment. Then the fourth issue was board recruitment, and governance has actually taken this upon themselves to create a better orientation process. I feel like a lot of board members, we've talked about getting a better orientation process, but I think with Sarah creating some new checklists, and we're going to do sort of an all-encompassing, whether it's a binder or a link where a new board member can really find all the information that they need when they first start in one place. So I hope that will help address the issue that has come up several years. And then the final one, which is no surprise, was board goals and accountability, meaning the need for clearly set long-term goals, a process to measure them, and actually getting our board committees to put their goals up in Board on Track. But again, Salmini has done some work on that. Governments will be doing some work on that. So even though these themes are recurring, I feel like at least this year there might be some actions that will be taken, and you know, next year's assessment won't just be a mirror image of the prior assessments. But with that, one of the comments, so I only got 10 comments, I didn't get 600, but one of the comments made me just think about the fact that, like, with board meetings being a little, I don't know, less cohesive or strategic than they may have been back in-person days. But the comment was something about the board meetings and just going through the motions. And then that makes me think about board inertia, and like, you don't want to get into a situation where there's complacency, and then, you know, so I just want to throw that out there because it was one of the comments, you know, keep people thinking actively. And, you know, I know development, obviously, and finance and governance can pretty much address the main level 1 issues that came up this year. But, you know, just want to keep everyone proactive, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
So that's all I have for the summary.
No, thank you, Jill. I would agree. I was going to say something, but anyway, I'll comment on the engagement thing. We have talked about getting together in person. I believe that our conclusion in the last board meeting that we're going to do that in October. So it's September, and I don't know. We can discuss that again at the end of the meeting to see, you know, where we want to do it. I believe it makes a difference. It makes a difference on how much we are, you know, in the moment, not just in the place, but in the moment, and making sure that the board meeting is not just going through the motions. I know what the other thing I was going to say, that I mentioned this last time, but Board on Track is not just a tool, and I'm learning a lot about the resources that we get from Board on Track, including a coach. So I share with everybody over email some links that they sent specifically about goal setting and how we can improve that. So hopefully that's helpful. But like you said, we're talking about that in governance as well. So we'll continue to improve on that to hold ourselves accountable. That's basic. The goals are helpful for knowing how we're doing what we should be doing, and for keeping track of that, and frankly for feeling better about achieving what we should be achieving. Because if we're not tracking it, it's hard to remind ourselves of all the stuff that we have done for the school. So, anybody else want to comment on those comments, or anything that you may have gained from filling out the survey? All right. Well, thanks again, Jill, for putting that together. All right. Moving on to chair business. We did talk last month about the education committee. Right now, there's no education committee chair and no board member since Liz moved on that position. Before I say anything else, does anybody have any comment or opinion about that vacant position and their interest to be part of that?
Yeah, Raul, I'd like to comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would be willing to take on the role as education chair, swapping out my role on development committee, and I would hold the chair, keep the meetings running while we work for a longer term solution to recruit an education chair.
Right. Thank you, Roger. Anybody else have any interest or comments? So then I'll appoint you, Roger, as the education committee chair, so that you're stepping down from the development committee. And thank you for stepping up. I know the ed committee didn't meet this month, so hopefully we'll restart that starting this month.
Minor point of order: the election of the chair, the vote is an election, but I will be interim chair, and then you can have an official vote in election, and then in the next meeting to make it.
Right. Understood. So I thought it was an appointment as opposed to.
You as chair, you appoint members to the committees, but the chair is an election.
Oh, but then we can make a vote then. I'll motion for Roger to be the interim education committee chair, so we find a permanent position. Anybody second that? Samini, I see you're talking, but we don't get your audio. It's apparently not working. If you want a second, raise your hand. If you want to comment, then okay. So many seconds. Can you roll the call, Sarah, to make this official? And you're on mute. You're on mute, Sarah.
Okay, Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Yes.
Laura Burgess,
Yes.
Mara Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Abstain.
Salmini Sampat.
It looks like a thumbs up.
Okay, got it. Zachary Prescott.
Yes.
All right, motion.
Motion passes. Thank you, Roger, and thanks for stepping up again. All right, ED evaluation update. Pretty quickly, we talked about this last month. If you remember the timeline, the ball's in our court on the board. So Ellen filled out her self-assessment, and then the assessment opened up for the whole board to complete. I'm happy to say the majority of the vote has filled it out. There's 6 of you, I should say 6 of us, I filled it out, but 6 board members that haven't yet completed the assessment. The timeline had us, or I should say Liz, taking the next step starting tomorrow. But if you want to get your comments in anytime, at your convenience, at your earliest convenience, you haven't done so already, please do so. But then we'll talk again in the September meeting, after meeting with Ellen, discussing her goals, for as the output of this evaluation process. So thanks everybody that did fill out the assessment, and I know that it helps Ellen. It's a special evaluation for a special year as we get ready to thank her for all her commitment and her passion over the last few years with AMSA. Great. Any comments about the process or anything? All right. With that, we can move to the committee reports. Actually, no, before we do, since I got the chair of business, one thing that we don't have an agenda item for the ED search, but I do want to give an update to everybody so everybody knows that the search committee has met. We met last week or the week before, I forget, with the search firm. We had our kickoff. We met, the whole committee was there. So I think it's the first good sign is that everybody was there. So, it's great. This is a great, large time commitment for everybody. So I'd like to thank again everybody that has stepped up to be a member of the search committee. We had good representation from different stakeholders of the school. The way the timeline was discussed is that what's going to happen now during the end of the summer and the beginning of the school year, the search firm is actually conducting interviews with stakeholders. So they're going to meet with people in the community, and that's going to inform how we build our job posting and our position, how we describe the person that we're certain that we'll be looking for. And then we're going to get busy between now and the end of the year promoting that position and making sure that we're going through candidates and whatnot. So we discussed the specifics on how that was going to work. And then the outcome of the search committee would be to present a recommendation for the board with a couple of options, 2 or 3 candidates at the end of the process for the board to make a final selection and vote on selecting our executive director. That will start July 1st or before. So anyway, that's the update. So I'll try to keep mentioning updates in our board meetings, but I thought it was worth saying that we're sticking to our schedule, and then everything's going well, and everybody's excited to go through this process. I would say, I'm going to repeat something that I told the committee, that this is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that the board will be doing this school year, because it will set us up for the future success at AMSA and continuing on our culture of trust and excellence and protecting our core values. So we believe this is worth our time. So I didn't want to miss a chance to give an update on that. So sorry, with that, we can move to the committee reports. So more development. I know you talk about the capital campaign, but anything else you want to add from the development committee?
Yeah, real quick. One thing on the capital campaign, and Ellen, I don't know if you had mentioned or called attention to the banner that's up. Did you talk about that? You did. Okay. We're going to keep rotating those so that they capture your attention over and over again. So look for some student influenced messaging too, kind of moving down the line. One thing that we did talk about that is not capital campaign related in the development committee is alumni engagement, and really moving forward how this is going to be really essential to the work of this new development person and the team, but also really in developing this sort of culture of philanthropy I mentioned earlier. So we are sort of reinvigorating an alumni campaign, committee, and Mark is actually doing some recruitment for that. We also talked about developing a way to work with the senior classes. So as they're getting ready to leave and become alums officially, that maybe they identify some class agents or representatives that can really keep their class engaged once they leave AMSA. And so we're kind of starting to put those pieces together, but that's just sort of one part of the work for the future we're doing on the development committee.
May I throw out one thing as well, Maura? So when we had the golf tournament, we had these little cards made up. They're the size of a business card. They had the QR code on them, and we used them at the golf tournament. one at each place setting. And so I'm going to ask Sarah Snow to mail or hand or somehow get to each one of you a half a dozen of those. So that when you're out and you meet somebody and you say, I'm on this great board and we're having a capital campaign, and they say, oh, I'm interested, you can hand them a card. So just something really quick you can have in your wallet. So, Miss Sarah, would you mind just sending those out to everyone? And so when you get those in the mail, that's what they're for. So keep them handy.
One other thing, thank you for bringing up the golf tournament because I totally forgot. I don't know that it has been announced yet, and so I don't really want to steal Krista and Christy's thunder. But I will say and give absolute kudos to both Krista Barton and Christy Allison and the whole golf committee for an amazing job. We raised over $5,000 more than we raised last year. And so I'll let them, in whatever fashion they're going to announce it to parents and families and that kind of thing. But just an amazing job. And the event, like every year, it's just more and more smooth. Right? Everything, the auction gets bigger and better. The raffle gets bigger and better. Having like the right amount of golfers, and it was an incredible day. The sponsorships were awesome this year, and everyone really kind of pulled together for a great event. So kudos to everybody. Thank you to everybody who played or donated or, bid on auction items.
Yep. One other thought to jump on to that, because I was looking for photos today for my board report. And if you go on to AMSA's Facebook page, the official one, you will see every single one of the sponsors. There's one of their little logos and some information about each one that's up there. And as I was looking through, I'm just scrolling and scrolling through them all. So if you're interested in who supported this wonderful golf tournament, we had such a great day. Go right onto Facebook and you'll see. And support them too. Support them back.
That's it for development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maura. So Ed Committee didn't meet, correct? So there's no Ed Committee report. And I also believe that governance did not meet, and Sheila's not on, so there's no governance report. Finance, I guess, Roger, is there anything that we haven't discussed, or anything else from finance?
So yes, the finance committee met this week, and we had a rich discussion about a number of things. Liana, we reviewed the year-end budget for the school year ending in June of 2022. We have an almost final version of that. And Liana, what was the final, or the final surplus number for this?
It was 1,191,000.
Okay, and that's an almost final number. There's still always some little pieces coming in, and beyond that, we had a robust discussion about future plan. For example, the biggest piece was the budgeting for the development committee position, and that's the finance report.
Roger, and again, that's how we started the meeting, so that I know there was a lot of discussion and starting on that finance. Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the committee reports and brings us to action items. I believe I only heard one for you, Sarah.
Yes, I have it in bold.
Any other action items that we should follow up on? Nope. All right, so meeting wrap up. We have, do we have any other agenda items for the September? And the next meeting will be September 22nd, correct? That's how we have it scheduled. It will still be, we said, online. Maybe this is a good time to discuss again if we need to. I mean, we had agreed last time that we're going to do October as an in-person meeting, so we'll stick with that plan. unless anybody has any comments around that, but no.
May I ask one question, Raul?
Sure.
So Roger stepped down as the chair, but nothing was said about the finance chair. Is that just?
No. I'll continue as chair for finance.
Oh, I
In
see.
addition,
Okay.
I am
I didn't
chair-
understand that. I heard stepping down. I'm sorry.
I am chair of education, placeholder, chair of finance, but I'm stepping down from the development committee.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Misunderstood. Thank you.
Yeah. So as a treasurer, you chair finance.
Yes.
And then you're temporarily chairing education. Okay.
So an agenda item for September would be the ED evaluation report.
Yep. So we have that. Anything else? And besides the things that are in our ideal board calendar.
Raul, question. Can I go back to the in-person meeting in October?
Sure, of course.
I just wanted to remind everyone that you have to have a quorum in person. So I know if everybody can't make it in person for some reason, even in October, as long as you have a quorum in person, you could allow for a remote person, right? So I just want to mention that so that everyone doesn't get too worried about it.
Yes.
As long as we have a quorum in person, we're good.
Right.
And
so
even under the law till December, we can have.
Correct.
But it's actually March 31st.
March now? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we should try for it, but I didn't want anyone to
No, absolutely. And the intention was, and I'm going to speak as I always do, by my opinion, the hybrid approach, like we learned in the classroom, is not ideal, right? So getting together in person might be less convenient for some of us that are just, moving from one meeting to the other and jumping on the board meeting. It's easy without having to commute to the school, especially if you're coming from other towns. But I think it's worth it. We don't have to, we'll try it in October. Hopefully all of us can show up in person. There'll still be the option, the possibility of joining remotely, just like there was before COVID. But ideally, we should try to make it in person. So hopefully it's not a imposition on anybody. And again, I know it's convenient to do it remotely, but let's try it out. And hopefully it works out and we can all get together in person. Good. Any other comments about that or agenda items for the next board meeting? Any comments about meeting effectiveness? Anything that we can do to make this meeting more participative and less going through the motions, like kind of going back to Jill's comment from the assessment? No?
I really think that they're getting, looking at the timeline, I haven't been involved for all that long, but I think that we've made pretty good strides in doing that. If somebody wants to put an air conditioner in my office so that I'm not melting, that would be great. But in a couple months, that's not going to matter.
I'm looking forward to trying to meet in person. I know I sometimes have technical issues. At least one or two of us seems to every meeting. I'm certainly having that. And I know I'll be driving from another town, but it's 12 days a year. So I'm really hoping we can start meeting in person. I thought that hybrid meeting was a disaster. We couldn't hear each other. It was, wow. So I think it should just be either all Zoom or in person. But that's just my opinion. So, but I'm really looking forward to, I think we'll be more of a team and a cohesive unit and more participatory if we're actually in a room together. But that's just my opinion.
I'll just add in, I mentioned to Ellen when I met with her, I would love to meet you all in person. So I hope we do something so you're more than just faces on the screen this fall.
You think that makes a difference, so it's worth the extra commute.
Well, the kickoff will be a good time. Be good.
And we get pizza.
Right? Is that still happening?
Unless there's any other comments, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
May I ask one question though? I was sort of bumped out there for a minute. Zach, were you the timekeeper?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
How did we
Thank you.
do?
Final time check. We are 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 17 seconds ahead of schedule.
Uh,
Yeah, the agenda had us go until 9:30, which I was.
Awesome.
So I'm glad we got it in sooner.
I'm sorry, can I ask a really quick recruitment question? For
Sure.
Jill, I think. And can everyone hear me? I know it's been reported no one
Yes.
can hear me, which is shocking because I never stop talking. Is it true that as the board is currently consisting of, we're all on the lookout for non-parent additions to the board? Just because enough of us are parents. I just want to make sure that's clear because I don't mind trying to recruit. I just don't want to recruit someone. I believe that's our focus, but I don't know that we've ever actually said it. And maybe I'm wrong.
Traditionally, and Sarah, I think, can attest to this, the goal was always to be about 50-50. Right now, the only non-parent we have is Nick. And Salmini is a parent of two graduates.
Yeah.
But really, in order to balance out and to have a perspective, one of the reasons charter schools existed with boards instead of like elected school committee members was to try to bring expertise from outside in the business world and in different places, into schools and to see if they could run more efficiently. And I think having a perspective of non-parents, I think is important. I'm a parent of 4 children, and it's not easy to always wear one hat or the other.
Jill, anything to add? Since
Yeah, so in governance, we did talk about recruitment, and I think maybe the next meeting would be a good time for us to sort of do that like summary of what we're really looking for. But when we were talking about it at one of the last meetings, a non-parent was kind of up there on the list, and then going through the assessment of who we lost and what skills we would like to see in a new recruit. And so that would be a good opportunity for us, to get you guys
But just to be clear, we're intending for that mix, but there's nothing on the bylaws or any requirements that limit us from breaking that proportion, right?
Right. I think it was just a
Right.
unwritten rule that we would 50-50 was a good mix for our board. Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully that helps.
Yes, correct. What Jill said. There's no bylaw that gives the composition of the board beyond a parent rep and a teacher rep and 15 members. But our long-term goal has been to try to hit a 50-50 balance between parent and non-parent trustees, excluding the faculty and parent reps.
And I joined as a non-parent, but it felt so good to be part of the school that now I became a parent of the school. So sorry I threw off the ratio.
We were way off the ratio anyway, Raul. We welcome you as a parent.
Right.
Thank you. I'll try to take my parent hat off. I'll let my wife do that job. All right. Any other comments, questions, quandaries? I will entertain a motion to adjourn if the answer is no.
Motion to adjourn.
Who said that? Oh, Maura.
Maura.
I'll second.
We hear you, Salmini.
There we go.
Salmini,
Great
there you are.
time. Great time.
All right.
At the end of the meeting, you can finally hear me. I figured out what the problem was, but it took me a while. So thank you for listening to my thumbs up and my hand waves.
Yes, thank you.
Are you ready?
Go ahead, roll the call, please.
Don Capello,
Yes.
Jill Schaefer,
Yes.
Laura Burgess,
Yes.
Laura Webster,
Yes.
Nick Poirier,
Yes.
Raul Porras,
Yes.
Roger Jarrett,
Yes.
Salmini Sampath,
Yes.
and Zachary Prescott.
Yes.
That's everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.